What my assistant, Mr. Moe, is doing, he's setting the stop that's back here that we're going to cut the 5/8 inch round stock, and we got it measured off, so it should be about 3 inches that is cut. So what's going to happen is we'll make an initial cut, then we'll go ahead, measure it, and see what we need to adjust. Remember, we've talked about allowances, so if I give you a plus or minus allowance of a 1/16 of an inch, when we're cutting this, we need to make sure it's as close as possible. But if it needs to be adjusted, we have the other machines we've talked about, the deburrer machine, the chop saw, if we have to cut a small piece off. So again, this is for multiple cuts. So now that Mr. Moe has finished measuring this off, we're going to go ahead and set our machine so we can get started. The multiple cuts is usually operated by the person who's using the shear. I am going to be operating the shear. Mr. Moe is going to make sure that there's no people back there or his hands are clear when I go ahead and cut it. So after the cut, Mr. Moe is going to tell me clear, and I know that I'm ready to cut again. Okay, so we're going to start this machine up. And it's on the remote cut. Okay, Mr. Moe, you all right?
Sure.
All right. Did it come out? Good?
They're 4 inches.
They're 4 inches.
Because we forgot we didn't account for the pump, the thickness of the plate.
Okay. So what we did find out is the piece itself is 1 inch longer than what was measured by the stop, because the shear of the plate is 1 inch thick. So what's going to happen is he's going to adjust the cut so that it accounts for the shear. Okay? Now, when Mr. Moe is back there adjusting, you stay away from the operations of the machine. So the second person that you have back there is very important for you to understand where they're at all times. We're doing this to have coupons to be able to weld with. This is what we have to go through to get it done if we don't order them already cut.
All right, sir.
One of the things that I want to make sure that everybody sees when we're going to cut this piece of material, it does pop up a little bit because it goes through the shear. So make sure that you understand that when you're holding it, this will pop up. And it'll be a little bit more prevalent when we do a piece of flat stock. All right, clear? Too short? Huh?
I got it up.
Okay.
3 inches.
Okay, so it cuts at 3 inches. Then now what I'm going to do is cut just some multiple cuts so that you can see how this works. Let me know when you're ready. Okay. So it's sticking? Okay. Clear? Okay, one more. So in a a matter of a minute or so, we actually cut 4 pieces, and they're pretty close to the dimension that needs to happen. It looks like it might be a 1/16 off, a little bit less. So some of them are 3 inches. So that's what we have to be careful for when we're using the metal worker. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and set it up for the flat piece of metal. So Mr. Moe is going to adjust the stop down to the bottom piece, and we'll cut a piece of flat stock. Now, while he's doing that, what I'm going to do is get a wrench, and what we're going to do is we're going to set this up so that we have a flat or a square section that we can put the flat stock on. At this point, what you want to do is get yourself a nice little square, combination square. See if this one will fit. Let me grab the wrench. You get ready to square this side off. What you're going to do is take your combination square, set it for the 90 degree, put it up against the plate, and this should be square to operate the machine.
4 and 43/64.
Okay, 4 and 43/64. Before we start cutting the flat stock, we want to make sure that our plate is up so it clears whatever thickness you're going to be cutting. This is a very thin piece of metal. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this until it hits a stop. Once it hits a stop, remember this is going to come up a little bit once you're going to be good. Once you get to the stop,
It's like 43/64 to me.
all right. Wow, that cut good. So this is the first one. It seemed to have come out the way we needed to, so we're going to cut it in multiple pieces, and we're going to make sure that we could have this as far as we need to. Clear? What I'm doing is I'm making sure that I come down to a position or a place in the metal where my hands are going to have to take in consideration while cutting this. We're probably only going to get maybe one more cut out of this, if this one, and maybe one more, before it won't work on the shear. So this is waste. Well, it's never waste, but so this machine in the last couple of minutes cut all these the same size at one time. So what that does is it gives you a chance to cut as many pieces as you can, especially if, let's say for instance, we need a piece of metal a certain size for the whole class. Instead of having that, you get together, you get the pieces done, 2 people run the metal worker, and you can get all the pieces at one time. All right. I wanted to thank Mr. Moe for helping me out, and I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. Turn off the main power. Now, the thing that we want to do at this point is make sure all the metal is put away that is supposed to be. We're going to look at if there's anything that needs to be cleaned on the metal worker, and we want to make sure our tools are put away, just like it is that we talked about before the class started. What we have now is we have gone through all the machines in the shop except my oxy fuel sets, and my welders. So everything is out there. Everything is done for you. This will be another class that you're going to be having a little test on. And since we're coming back into the shop, then you're going to start doing hands-on for everything that I've showed you. So we went through the orientation of the machine. We went through pre-inspection. We selected the metal that we needed and where we were going to cut it on the metal worker. We measured it using a second person, two people, two-person operation, and we cleaned up. All right, thank you very much.